In a world where time is money, he lost. Both. The first thing you notice in Chronos City is the ticking. Not from clocks on walls, those are obsolete, but from the soft, relentless pulse beneath every collarbone. Everyone wears a timer, a translucent disc embedded in the chest, glowing faintly with the exact number of seconds you have left to live. Those seconds are currency. You spend them to eat, to travel, to love. You earn them by working, inventing, entertaining, or simply by being useful to someone richer. When your timer hits 0, you die. No drama, no second chances. Just a quiet stop, like a watch running out of battery. Arjun Vale was born with 3,149,000,000 seconds, exactly 100 years. The standard allotment for a middle-class child in 2087. By age 32, he had turned that into 12 billion seconds, enough to live comfortably for 4 centuries if he wanted. He was a time broker, one of the best. He bought low from the desperate and sold high to the immortal elite who lounged in sky mansions, sipping cocktails that cost a decade per glass. Arjun's office sat on the 181st floor of the Meridian Spire, a tower so tall its shadow moved across the city like a sundial. From his window he could see the divide, the glittering upper rings where the ultra-rich burned centuries on parties, and the lower sectors, where people traded hours for bread. He was good at his job because he never felt anything. Emotions wasted time. That changed the day Alara Voss walked into his office. She was 28, wearing a threadbare coat that had once been expensive. Her timer glowed a sickly 180,000 seconds, barely 2 days. Her eyes, though, were bright and defiant, the color of storm clouds before rain. "I need to buy time," she said, voice steady. "A lot of it." Arjun leaned back, fingers steepled. "Everyone needs time, Miss Voss. The question is what you're offering." She placed a small crystal drive on his desk. "This." He plugged it into his terminal. Blueprints unfolded in holographic light, a device that could extract ambient temporal energy from quantum fluctuations. In theory, it could generate seconds from nothing. If it worked, it would end scarcity forever. If it didn't, it was worthless. Arjun's pulse quickened, the first time in years. "Where did you get this?" "I built it," she said simply. "But I'm running out of time to finish it." He stared at her timer. 179,820. 179,819. "How much do you need?" 10 million seconds to complete the prototype. Then the world changes." 10 million seconds was 8 figures in city currency. Arjun could afford it, but it would dent even his reserves. He should have laughed her out of the office. Instead, he transferred the seconds. The glow in her chest flared as her timer jumped to 10,179,799. Her shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," he said. "I'm investing. When this works, I want 50%. She smiled for the first time. Deal. That was the hook. Over the next months, Arjun found excuses to visit her lab in the lower sectors. Officially, to check on his investment. Unofficially, because Ilara made him feel something dangerous. Curiosity. She worked 18 hours a day, soldering circuits, running simulations, arguing with the laws of physics. Her timer ticked down steadily. She refused to spend seconds on sleep or food beyond the minimum. "You're burning through my investment," he teased one night. "I'm burning through my life," she corrected. "Same thing." He started bringing her meals that cost days each. She accepted them grudgingly. One evening, as rain hammered the lab's corrugated roof, the prototype hummed to life. It worked. For 30 glorious seconds, the device pulled 1,200 seconds out of thin air and fed them into a test battery. Ilara laughed, a sound like breaking glass in the best way, and threw her arms around him. In that moment, Arjun realized he was in love. Love is the most expensive thing in Chronos City. It costs attention, vulnerability, presence, seconds you can never earn back. He didn't care. He proposed a partnership, marry their fortunes, finish the device together, release it to the world. No patents, no profit, free time for everyone. Elara hesitated. The council won't allow it. The Council of Nine were the oldest humans alive, each with timers in the trillions. They owned the banks, the laws, the very concept of scarcity. "They'll try to stop us," she said. "Then we move fast," Arjun replied. They worked in secret. Arjun liquidated assets, converted billions of seconds into untraceable shards. Elara refined the device until it could sustain a continuous flow, 10,000 seconds per hour, enough to feed a city block. They were 3 days from public reveal when the enforcers came. Black armored figures with mirrored visors. They didn't knock. Arjun fought, uselessly. A stun pulse dropped him to the floor. He woke in a cell beneath the Meridian Spire. No windows, no timer visible. A collar around his neck blocked the glow. Across from him sat Counselor Helix, the eldest, rumored to be 900 years old. "You've been busy, Mr. Vale." Arjun's mouth tasted of copper. "Where's Elara?" "Safe, for now." Helix leaned forward. "We're reasonable people. Hand over the device and the blueprints. Miss Voss keeps her remaining time. You keep most of yours. A fair trade." "And if I refuse?" Helix smiled thinly. "Then we take everything." They left him alone for what felt like days. No food, no water. Unnecessary when time itself sustains the body, but the collar suppressed even that. He felt himself fading. On the third visit, they brought Elara. She was bruised, timer down to 40,000 seconds. Her eyes found his, and in them he saw terror and fury in equal measure. They forced her to watch as Helix explained the new terms. "The device is flawed," Helix said, holding the prototype. "It destabilizes local temporal fields. Used at scale, it would collapse the timeline within years. Billions dead. We can't allow it." Elara spat blood. "Liar. You ran the simulations yourself. It's stable." Helix shrugged. "Public opinion matters little when the public is dead." He turned to Arjun. "Last chance." Arjun looked at Elara. She shook her head almost imperceptibly. "No." So he told Helix exactly where he could store the blueprints. They took Elara away, screaming his name. That night, they drained him. Not all at once. Slowly. 1,000,000 seconds at a time, siphoned into council accounts. He felt each loss like teeth being pulled. When they finished, his timer read 86,400 seconds. 1 day. They dumped him in the lower sectors at dawn, collar removed, clothed in rags. The city moved around him like he was already a ghost. He had 1 day to find Elara, stop the council, or die trying. Suspension begins here. Arjun stumbled through alleys where children with 200,000 second timers begged for scraps of hours. He traded the last of his old credentials for a burner cloak and a pulse knife. First stop, the lab, burned to the ground. Nothing left but ash and twisted metal. Second stop, Elara's old contacts. Most were dead or missing. One, an elderly mechanic named Rao, whispered that the council had taken her to the vault. Their private fortress floating above the clouds. Impossible to reach without millions in seconds for a shuttle. Arjun had 80,000 left and dropping. He needed allies. He found them in the underground, a loose network of time debtors and radicals who called themselves the Unclocked. Their leader, a woman named Suri, with a cracked timer showing negative seconds, she should have been dead years ago, kept alive by stolen patches, listened to his story without blinking. "You're the broker who funded the free-flow device," she said. "Some of us prayed for you. Others wanted you dead for profiting off misery first." "I'm here now," Arjun said. "Help me get her back, and we release the plans to everyone." Suri studied him. "Why should we trust you?" Because I have 1 day left. Nothing to lose. She grinned. That'll do. They gave him a mission. Steal a maintenance shuttle from the Spire's underbelly. In exchange, they'd provide a one-use ascension code to breach the vault's lower shields. The heist went wrong almost immediately. Security had tripled since his fall. Drones swarmed, lasers carved the night. Arjun lost 20,000 seconds in burns and evasion, but he got the shuttle. As it climbed toward the vault, he patched a message on open channels. The blueprints, everything Alara had built, broadcast raw and unfiltered. Let the world see. The vault's defenses lit up like a star going supernova. He had 30,000 seconds left when the tractor beam caught him. They dragged him into a white chamber. Alara was there, chained to a chair. Her timer, 8,000 seconds. Helix stood between them, holding a siphon wand. You broadcast the plans, Helix said, almost admiringly. Every slum rat in the city is trying to build one now. Chaos. Good, Arjun rasped. Helix sighed. We'll contain it. We always do. He raised the wand toward Alara. Watch her go first. Arjun lunged. The wand fired, but not at Alara, at the prototype on the table beside her. Pure temporal energy erupted. The room folded. Time stuttered. In that frozen instant, Arjun saw everything. The Council's lie. The device wasn't unstable. Their simulations showed perfect stability for millennia. They'd planned to bury it forever. He saw Alara's hand in the chaos, pressing a hidden switch on her restraints. He saw his own timer, cracked from the surge, suddenly reading infinity. Infinity. The feedback loop from the ruptured prototype had overwritten local reality. When time snapped back, Helix was on the floor, timer zeroed out. Dead. Guards rushed in. Alara was free. Together they ran. The vault burned behind them as overloaded timers across the city began to refill from ambient energy. People in the street
Rising from the ashes, stories that bleed. Hope Priya's arranged marriage ended in quiet devastation when her husband chose tradition over her dreams. She fled to a new city with nothing but bruises on her soul. Years later, she found love that saw her fully and married him in a ceremony that honored her choices. David was bankrupted by a partner's betrayal. Instead of bitterness, he started mentoring young entrepreneurs, teaching them to protect their hearts and their dreams. These aren't fairy tales, they're proof. The human spirit bends, breaks, and somehow blooms again. Ancient wisdom for modern wounds. Buddhism whispers, everything is impermanent. Clinging causes suffering. Let go gently. The Stoics remind us, we cannot control others' choices, only our response to them. Every wisdom tradition agrees, this pain is universal. You are not cursed, you are alive. How to survive when it feels impossible. Cry until you're empty. Scream into pillows. Write letters you'll never send. Run until your lungs burn. Talk to someone who won't flinch from your darkness. Create, paint, sing, cook, build, anything to prove you still exist. Time doesn't heal. You do. Slowly, messily, bravely. The exquisite pain of knowing it won't last. Here's the cruel beauty. Because everyone leaves eventually, every moment becomes sacred. The way someone's laugh catches in their throat. The warmth of their hand in yours, the quiet mornings when the world feels safe. Knowing it's temporary makes it infinite. We love harder. We forgive faster. We savor deeper. Like cherry blossoms, gone in days but burned forever into memory. To you, still bleeding. If you're reading this with tears blurring the screen, know this. You will survive this. Not because the pain shrinks, but because you will grow around it, like a tree enfolding an old wound. The people who left took pieces of you, but they also left space for new love, deeper wisdom, fiercer strength. One day you'll wake up and realize the ache has become a quiet companion rather than a screaming tormentor. You'll trust again, carefully, trembling, beautifully. And when someone new holds your fragile heart, you'll whisper the truth you've earned through blood and tears. I know you might leave, but I'm going to love you anyway. Because that's what we do. We break, we bleed, we love again. Everyone leaves eventually, but the love we give, that stays. Forever.
The council fell within hours. Arjun and Elara stood on a rooftop as dawn broke over a city where no one feared the tick anymore. Her timer read 2.8 billion and rising. His still showed infinity, an anomaly, a glitch, a gift. She touched the glowing infinity gently. "What does it feel like?" "Like I lost everything," he said, pulling her close, "and found the only thing that matters." Below them, Chronos City awoke to its first day without scarcity. And somewhere in the distance, the ticking had finally stopped.